Hey, I need to get this off my chest. This all started about 6 months ago, and it's been a roller coaster since then. My wife Lisa and I had been married for just under a year when everything started unraveling. We were one of those couples who seemed perfect on the outside. Happy, successful, with a bright future ahead. But behind closed doors, things were different. I met Lisa 2 years ago at a mutual friend's birthday party. She was stunning, confident, and had this magnetic charm that drew everyone in. We hit it off immediately and started dating. Everything moved quickly from there: engagement, wedding, honeymoon. It felt like a whirlwind romance, but in hindsight, maybe it was just too fast. The first signs of trouble were subtle. Lisa started working late more often, something that seemed plausible given her demanding job. She'd also become more secretive with her phone, always keeping it on silent and face down. When I asked her about it, she'd brush it off with some lame excuse about work emails and privacy. I didn't push too hard. I trusted her, or at least I wanted to. One evening, about 6 months into our marriage, Lisa came home later than usual. She looked disheveled and had a faint smell of cologne on her. I asked her where she'd been, and she snapped at me, saying she'd been out with a friend and accusing me of being paranoid. I felt a twinge of doubt, but dismissed it. After all, why would she cheat? We were newlyweds, supposedly in love. A few weeks later, while cleaning the apartment, I found a receipt for a fancy restaurant tucked into one of her coat pockets. The date matched one of the nights she claimed to be working late. When I confronted her, she laughed it off, saying it was from a business dinner. Her dismissive attitude left me feeling uneasy, but again I let it slide. Maybe I was overthinking things, but the unease continued to grow. Lisa's late nights became more frequent, and she was constantly texting someone, her face lighting up in a way I hadn't seen in months. One night, curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to check our phone bill. What I found was a series of long, late-night calls to a number I didn't recognize. My heart sank, but I told myself there had to be a reasonable explanation. I decided to ignore my suspicions until I couldn't anymore. A few days later, I was at home when Lisa's phone buzzed with a message. She was in the shower, so I glanced at the screen out of habit. The message preview read, "Can't wait to see you again tonight. Last night was amazing. Love, Jake." My blood ran cold. This was no colleague, no business dinner. This was a full-blown affair. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I took a picture of the message and started my own investigation. I needed to be sure before making any accusations. Over the next few days, I dug deeper into her phone records, social media, and even followed her once. Sure enough, she met Jake, a guy I'd never heard of, at a bar where they looked way too cozy for just friends. The evidence was clear, and my worst fears were confirmed. My wife was cheating on me, and it wasn't just a fling. She'd been lying to my face, making a fool of me. The realization hit me like a truck. The woman I loved, the person I'd vowed to spend my life with, was betraying me in the most cruel and shocking way possible. In that moment, I knew our marriage was over. But walking away wasn't enough. The anger, the hurt, the sense of betrayal, it all festered inside me, growing stronger with each passing day. Lisa had destroyed my trust, my dreams, and my heart. Leaving her would be the easy way out, but I needed more than just an escape. I needed revenge. I spent the next few days in a haze of anger and disbelief. I couldn't eat, sleep, or focus on anything else. All I could think about was how Lisa had deceived me. The betrayal felt like a knife in my chest, and every breath was a reminder of the life I thought we had. But amidst the chaos, a plan began to form. If Lisa thought she could shatter my world without consequences, she had another thing coming. First, I needed to gather more evidence. It wasn't enough to just have suspicions and a few text messages. I needed concrete proof to confront her and to plan my next move. I started by installing a small voice-activated recorder in her car and another one in our bedroom. I knew it was a bit extreme, but I needed to know everything. Over the next week, the recorders captured hours of conversations between Lisa and Jake. Listening to their talks was like pouring salt into my wounds. They talked about their nights together, their plans, and even joked about how clueless I was. Each word fueled my anger, solidifying my resolve to make her pay. Once I had enough evidence, I began planning my revenge. I wanted to hit her where it hurt the most: her reputation, her finances, and her relationship with Jake. I started by creating an anonymous email account and sending all the recordings and messages to her employer. Lisa worked in a prestigious law firm, and I knew this scandal would ruin her career. I also made sure to send copies to her closest friends and family, people who thought she was the perfect wife and professional. Next, I needed to deal with Jake. A quick search through social media revealed that he was engaged to another woman. Perfect. I sent the same incriminating evidence to Jake's fiancée, detailing his affair with my wife. The fallout was immediate and brutal. Jake's fiancée called off their engagement and exposed him on social media, tagging Lisa in every post. The public humiliation was more satisfying than I anticipated. With their reputations in tatters, it was time for the final blow. I confronted Lisa one evening when she came home from another late night at work. She walked in, looking smug and unsuspecting. I had all the evidence laid out on the dining table: printouts of messages, transcripts of conversations, and photos of her and Jake together. "What's all this?" she asked, her voice dripping with annoyance. "I think you know exactly what this is," I replied, my voice steady but cold. "It's proof of your affair with Jake. Proof of how you've been lying to me for months." Her face went pale, and for the first time I saw genuine fear in her eyes. I can explain," she stammered. "Save it," I snapped. "I've already sent everything to your boss, your friends, and your family. Oh, and I made sure Jake's fiancée knows everything too. How does it feel, Lisa? How does it feel to have your perfect little world come crashing down?" She collapsed into a chair, sobbing. "You didn't have to do this. We could have talked about it." "Talked about it? You cheated on me, lied to me, and made a fool of me. There's nothing left to talk about," I said, my voice breaking slightly. "I'm done with you. I want a divorce." The days that followed were a whirlwind. Lisa tried to salvage her job, but the scandal was too big. She was fired within a week. Her friends and family ostracized her, shocked by her betrayal. And Jake? He lost everything too: his fiancée, his job, and his reputation. The revenge was sweet, but it didn't come without a cost. The emotional toll of everything left me feeling hollow and exhausted. However, I began to recover faster than I expected. With Lisa out of my life, I started focusing on myself. I reconnected with old friends, took up new hobbies, and even started seeing a therapist. Each day I felt a bit stronger, a bit more like myself. The betrayal had been brutal, but it also gave me a chance to rebuild my life on my own terms. Reflecting on everything, I realized I had learned a lot. Trust is fragile, and once broken, it's nearly impossible to repair. But more importantly, I learned about my own strength and resilience. If I could survive this, I could survive anything. To anyone going through a similar situation, my advice is simple: trust your instincts, gather your evidence, and don't be afraid to take action. You deserve better than to be someone's second choice or their fool. In the aftermath of my revenge, I found myself grappling with a complex mix of emotions. There was satisfaction, no doubt, but there was also an unexpected emptiness. The rush of vengeance had momentarily filled the void left by Lisa's betrayal, but now that it was over, I was left with the raw reality of my broken marriage. I threw myself into work, picking up extra projects and staying late at the office. My colleagues noticed the change in me: less jovial, more focused, almost robotic. I didn't mind. Work was a welcome distraction from the chaos in my personal life. When I wasn't at the office, I spent time at the gym, pushing my body to its limits as if physical exhaustion could numb the emotional pain. Therapy sessions became a cornerstone of my recovery. My therapist, Dr. Myers, was a calm and patient listener. She helped me navigate through the tangled web of emotions: anger, sadness, betrayal, and even guilt. I hadn't expected to feel guilty, but part of me wondered if I had done enough to salvage my marriage before resorting to such drastic measures. "It's normal to have these doubts," Dr. Myers said during one session, "but remember, the responsibility for the affair lies with Lisa, not you. Your actions were a response to her betrayal, not the cause of it." Her words offered some comfort, but I still had moments of doubt. What if I had confronted Lisa earlier? What if I had suggested couples therapy before everything spiraled out of control? These questions haunted me, but I knew dwelling on them was futile. The past couldn't be changed. All I could do was learn from it and move forward. As weeks turned into months, I slowly started rebuilding my life. I reconnected with friends I had neglected during my marriage. They were supportive, inviting me out for drinks, game nights, and weekend getaways. It felt good to be surrounded by people who genuinely cared about me. They helped me see that life could still be enjoyable, even after such a devastating experience. One evening, while having drinks with my friends, I met Emily. She was a friend of a friend, and we hit it off immediately. Emily was the complete opposite of Lisa, down-to-earth, genuine, and with a wicked sense of humor. We started dating casually, and for the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of happiness. Emily knew about my past. I didn't want to hide anything from her, and she appreciated my honesty. "Everyone has baggage," she said one night while we were sitting on her balcony watching the city lights. "The important thing is how you deal with it, and from what I can see, you're doing a pretty damn good job." Her words meant a lot to me. With her support, I began to heal even more. We took things slow, both of us cautious after past relationships, but there was a comfort in our mutual understanding. Emily became a bright spot in my life, a reminder that not all relationships were doomed to fail. However, not everything was smooth sailing. Lisa's attempts to reach out to me were relentless. She bombarded me with calls, texts, and emails, begging for another chance. She even showed up at my apartment once, sobbing and pleading at my doorstep. It took all my willpower to remain firm. "Please, Alex, we can fix this," she cried. "I'm sorry for everything. I was stupid and selfish. Don't throw away what we had." I looked at her, feeling a mix of pity and anger. "Lisa, you made your choices. You destroyed our marriage. There's nothing left to fix. Please stop contacting me. It's over." It wasn't easy to shut her out, but it was necessary. Each interaction with her threatened to reopen old wounds, and I needed to protect my hard-earned peace of mind. Eventually, she got the message and stopped trying, but the damage had been done. Despite the chaos, my life began to take on a new rhythm. Emily and I grew closer, and I found joy in small things, cooking dinner together, hiking on weekends, or simply watching movies cuddled up on the couch. I rediscovered passions I had set aside during my marriage, like painting and playing the guitar. Slowly but surely, I was reclaiming my identity. Looking back, I realized how much I had grown from the ordeal. Lisa's betrayal had shattered my world, but it also gave me the opportunity to rebuild it stronger and better. I learned the importance of self-respect, the value of true friends, and the power of moving forward. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, know this: it gets better. The pain, the anger, the sense of loss, they won't disappear overnight, but with time and effort, you can heal. Surround yourself with supportive people, seek help if you need it, and never lose sight of your worth. You deserve happiness, and it's out there waiting for you. As I continued to rebuild my life, I became more introspective about my journey. The process was far from linear. There were good days and bad days, but each step forward was a testament to my resilience. The gym sessions and therapy appointments became less about escaping the pain and more about personal growth. I was transforming into a version of myself I could be proud of, and that was something no one could take away from me. Emily was a big part of that transformation. She was patient and understanding, giving me the space to heal while also encouraging me to step outside my comfort zone. We took a weekend trip to a cabin in the mountains, and it was the first time in a long while that I felt completely at peace. Surrounded by nature, with no cell service and no distractions, we talked for hours about everything and nothing. It was the kind of connection I had always longed for but never truly found with Lisa. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, Emily turned to me with a serious expression. "Alex, I know you've been through hell, but I want you to know that I'm here for you. I don't expect you to be perfect or to have all the answers. I just want you to be honest with me and with yourself." Her words struck a chord. Honesty had been a rare commodity in my marriage, and it was refreshing to be in a relationship where transparency was valued. I promised myself to keep that honesty alive, both with Emily and in every other aspect of my life. However, Lisa's shadow still lingered. Despite her initial silence, she resurfaced one day in a way I hadn't anticipated. I received a call from her sister Megan, who had always been kind to me. "Alex, I'm really sorry to bother you, but I thought you should know that Lisa isn't doing well," Megan said, her voice laced with concern. "She's been drinking a lot and talking about you constantly. I'm worried she might do something drastic." My first reaction was a mix of anger and frustration. Why should I care? Lisa had made her bed and now she had to lie in it. But despite everything, I couldn't completely ignore Megan's plea. I agreed to meet her for coffee to discuss Lisa's situation. Megan looked tired and worried when we met. "She's really struggling, Alex. I know she messed up, but she's still my sister. Can you at least talk to her? Maybe it'll help her see reason." I sighed, conflicted. Part of me wanted to wash my hands of the entire situation, but another part remembered the good times, the person Lisa used to be before everything went wrong. "All right, I'll talk to her," I agreed reluctantly. That evening I met Lisa at a small cafe. She looked disheveled, a far cry from the confident woman I once knew. She greeted me with a weary smile, her eyes red from crying. "Alex, thank you for coming," she said, her voice trembling. "I know I have no right to ask anything from you, but I need to say I'm sorry. Truly sorry." "Lisa, I appreciate the apology, but what you did was beyond hurtful. It wasn't just a mistake, it was a series of deliberate actions that shattered our marriage," I replied, trying to keep my emotions in check. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I know, and I hate myself for it. I've lost everything because of my stupidity. You, my job, my friends. I'm so alone." Her vulnerability was disarming, and for a moment I felt a pang of sympathy. "Lisa, you need to get your life together for your own sake. I can't be a part of it anymore, but that doesn't mean you can't rebuild. You need to find help, maybe see a therapist." "I've started seeing one," she admitted. "It's helping, but it's so hard. I just miss you so much." I took a deep breath. "Lisa, I've moved on. I'm with someone new now, someone who treats me with respect and honesty. You need to let go of us and focus on healing yourself." The conversation was painful, but necessary. As I walked away from the cafe, I felt a sense of closure. I had given Lisa a chance to make amends, but I knew it was up to her to take the next steps. I couldn't fix her, and I didn't want to. My priority was my own happiness and the future I was building with Emily. Returning home that night, I shared the encounter with Emily. She listened without judgment, her hand reassuringly on mine. "I'm proud of you, Alex. It takes a lot of strength to face your past and still choose to move forward." With Emily's support, I felt more confident in my path. The scars from Lisa's betrayal would always be there, but they no longer defined me. I was stronger, wiser, and more determined to create a life filled with genuine love and trust. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that we all have the power to shape our own destiny. No matter how deep the wounds, healing is possible. Surround yourself with good people, embrace honesty, and never settle for less than you deserve. Life is too short to be weighed down by the mistakes of others. Life slowly but surely resumed a sense of normalcy. My relationship with Emily continued to flourish, and for the first time in a long while, I felt genuinely happy. We explored new hobbies together, went on spontaneous road trips, and shared countless late-night conversations. Emily was a beacon of light in my life, and I cherished every moment with her. One weekend we decided to host a small gathering at Emily's place. We invited a few close friends, hoping for a night of laughter and good company. As we prepared the snacks and drinks, I couldn't help but feel a surge of gratitude for how far I had come. The darkness of Lisa's betrayal seemed like a distant memory, and I was ready to fully embrace this new chapter. The evening was going perfectly. Everyone was having a great time, and the air was filled with laughter and music. Then, just as we were settling into a comfortable rhythm, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen and saw a message from an unknown number. Curious, I opened it, and my heart sank. "Alex, I need to talk to you. It's urgent. Please call me. Jake." I excused myself and stepped outside, dialing the number with a mixture of curiosity and dread. Jake answered on the second ring. "Alex, thank God, I didn't know who else to turn to," Jake said, his voice frantic. "Lisa's in trouble. She's been spiraling ever since everything came out, and now she's gone missing. Her family is worried sick." My initial reaction was disbelief. "Jake, why are you calling me? After everything that happened, why should I care?" "Because despite everything, I think you're the only one who can talk some sense into her. Please, Alex, I know I don't deserve your help, but I'm begging you." I took a deep breath, weighing my options. Part of me wanted to hang up and forget about it, but another part, the part that still remembered the good times with Lisa, couldn't ignore the plea for help. "All right, I'll see what I can do," I said reluctantly. "Where was she last seen?" Jake gave me the details, and I hung up, feeling a heavy sense of responsibility. I explained the situation to Emily, who immediately offered to come with me. "No, you stay here with our guests, I'll handle this," I said, giving her a reassuring hug. "I'll be back as soon as I can." I drove to the location Jake had mentioned, a small park on the outskirts of town. It was dark and deserted, the kind of place that seemed to swallow light and hope. I parked my car and started walking, calling out Lisa's name. My heart pounded with a mixture of fear and frustration. What had she gotten herself into now? After what felt like an eternity, I found her sitting on a bench, staring blankly at the ground. She looked fragile, a shadow of the woman she once was. "Lisa," I said softly, approaching her cautiously. She looked up, her eyes filled with tears. "Alex, what are you doing here?" "I got a call from Jake. He said you were missing. Your family is worried about you," I replied, keeping my distance. She nodded, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. I don't know what to do anymore." I sat down on the bench beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. "Lisa, you need to get help. You can't keep running away from your problems. It's not going to solve anything." She sighed, a long, heavy exhale. "I know. I've been seeing a therapist, but some days it just feels too overwhelming. I miss you, Alex. I miss what we had." "Lisa, you need to understand that what we had is gone. You destroyed it, and there's no going back. But that doesn't mean you can't build something new for yourself. You need to focus on your recovery and your future." She nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face. "I'll try. I promise I'll try." I stood up, feeling a mix of relief and sadness. "Good. Now let's get you home. Your family is worried sick." As we walked back to my car, I couldn't help but feel a sense of closure. This was the final chapter in my relationship with Lisa, and I was ready to turn the page. I dropped her off at her parents' house and watched as they welcomed her back with open arms. For the first time in months, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. When I returned to Emily's place, the party was winding down. She greeted me with a concerned look, and I wrapped my arms around her, holding her tightly. "Is everything okay?" she asked softly. "Yeah," I replied, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. "Everything's going to be okay." The following weeks were a testament to my newfound strength. Lisa stayed true to her word and committed to her therapy. She reached out occasionally with updates, and while I kept my distance, I was glad to see her making progress. As for me, I focused on my relationship with Emily and the future we were building together. The scars from my past were still there, but they no longer defined me. I had faced my demons and come out stronger on the other side. Life has a way of testing us in ways we never expect. But if there's one thing I've learned, it's that we have the power to overcome even the darkest of times. With love, support, and a little bit of determination, we can rebuild our lives and find happiness again. To anyone reading this who feels lost or betrayed, know that you're not alone. There is hope, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. Keep moving forward, and don't be afraid to seek help. You deserve a life filled with love and joy, and it's out there waiting for you. Life continued to settle into a new, comforting rhythm. My relationship with Emily deepened, and we grew more inseparable with each passing day. We shared dreams of the future, from travel plans to the possibility of starting a family someday. It felt like a fresh start, and I embraced every moment of it. One Friday evening, Emily and I decided to have a quiet night in. We cooked dinner together, laughing and joking as we moved around the kitchen. After dinner, we curled up on the couch to watch a movie. Just as the opening credits rolled, my phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. I opened it, my heart sinking when I saw the sender. "Alex, it's urgent. Please call me." "Lisa." I sighed, feeling a familiar mix of frustration and concern. I showed the message to Emily, who looked at me with understanding eyes. "Go ahead and call her," she said softly. "I'll be here." I stepped into the kitchen and dialed Lisa's number. She answered almost immediately, her voice shaky. "Alex, thank God you called. I need your help. It's about Jake," she said, her words tumbling out in a rush. "What about him?" I asked, my tone more impatient than I intended. "He's been stalking me, Alex. Ever since his fiancée left him, he's been blaming me for everything. He's been following me, showing up at my work, threatening me. I'm scared," she confessed, her voice breaking. I felt a surge of anger. Jake had already caused enough trouble in my life, and now he was harassing Lisa. Despite everything, I couldn't stand by and let her be threatened. "Have you gone to the police?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "Yes, but they said there's not much they can do unless he actually does something." "I don't know what to do," she said, her desperation palpable. "All right, I'll see what I can do," I replied. "Stay somewhere safe and don't be alone. I'll handle this." I hung up and returned to Emily, explaining the situation. She looked concerned, but nodded in agreement when I said I needed to confront Jake. The next day, I tracked down Jake's address through some mutual acquaintances. He lived in a rundown apartment on the edge of town. I drove there, my mind racing with what I would say. I was determined to end this once and for all. When I arrived, I knocked on his door with a mix of anger and trepidation. Jake opened it, looking surprised to see me. "Alex, what are you doing here?" he asked, his expression a mix of confusion and annoyance. "We need to talk, Jake. Now," I said, pushing my way inside. "I know you've been stalking Lisa. This needs to stop, or there will be consequences." Jake laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. "Consequences? Like what, Alex? What more can you take from me?" "That's up to you," I replied, my voice steady. "But if you continue to harass her, I'll make sure the police take action. I've got connections, and I won't hesitate to use them." His expression darkened. "You don't get it, do you? Lisa ruined my life. She destroyed everything I had." "She didn't ruin your life, Jake. You made your own choices, just like she did. Now it's time to move on. Harassing her isn't going to fix anything," I said, trying to keep my anger in check. He glared at me, but after a moment his shoulders sagged in defeat. "Fine, I'll leave her alone. But don't think for a second that this is over." "It better be," I said, turning to leave. "For your sake." As I drove home, I felt a mix of relief and exhaustion. Confronting Jake had been necessary, but it left me feeling drained. When I got back to Emily's place, she welcomed me with a warm hug, her presence soothing my frayed nerves. "How did it go?" she asked, looking up at me with concern. "It's handled for now," I replied, holding her close. "He promised to leave her alone. I just hope he keeps his word." In the weeks that followed, Lisa updated me occasionally, letting me know that Jake had indeed backed off. She expressed her gratitude, but I made it clear that our interactions would remain limited. I had helped her out of a sense of duty, but I needed to protect my own peace. With Jake no longer a threat, I was finally able to focus entirely on my future with Emily. We continued to build our life together, planning more trips and discussing our dreams. Each day felt like a step toward a brighter, happier future. One evening, as we sat on the balcony of Emily's apartment, watching the city lights twinkle below, she turned to me with a smile. "Alex, I've been thinking about something," she said, her eyes sparkling. "What's that?" I asked, curious. "I think it's time we move in together. What do you think?" Her words filled me with a mix of excitement and joy. "I think that sounds perfect," I replied, leaning in to kiss her. As we made plans for our new life together, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought me here. The betrayal, the revenge, the healing. It had all led me to this moment. And despite the pain and heartache, I wouldn't change a thing. It had shaped me into the person I was today, stronger and more resilient. To anyone reading this who's facing betrayal or heartbreak, remember that there is hope. Life has a way of surprising us, of offering new beginnings when we least expect them. Trust in your strength, lean on those who care about you, and never lose sight of your worth. Happiness is out there, waiting for you to claim it. Moving in together was a major step for Emily and me, and it marked a new chapter in our lives. We found a cozy apartment in a vibrant part of town, close to parks and cafes, perfect for weekend strolls and lazy brunches. The process of packing up our respective places and merging our lives was both exhilarating and a little daunting. But through it all, we worked as a team, and our bond grew even stronger. One evening, after a long day of unpacking and organizing, we sat on the balcony with a bottle of wine, enjoying the warm summer breeze. Emily looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of excitement and curiosity. "Alex, do you ever think about what happened with Lisa? Not in a bad way, but just reflecting on everything?" she asked, her tone gentle. I nodded, taking a sip of my wine. "Yeah, I do. It's hard not to. It was such a huge part of my life, and it changed me in so many ways." "How do you feel about it now?" she continued, her gaze never leaving mine. I paused, considering her question. "I think I'm at peace with it. It was painful and messy, but it taught me a lot about myself. It showed me what I deserve and what I need in a relationship. And it led me to you, so in a way, I'm grateful." Emily smiled, reaching out to take my hand. "I'm glad you feel that way. I'm grateful for everything that led us to this moment, too." As we continued to settle into our new home, life felt like it was finally falling into place. We hosted dinners with friends, explored new hobbies together, and made countless memories in our cozy little apartment. But just when things seemed perfect, an unexpected turn of events threw us off balance. One afternoon, while I was at work, I received a call from an unknown number. I hesitated before answering, but curiosity got the better of me. "Hello?" I answered cautiously. "Alex, it's Megan, Lisa's sister," the voice on the other end said, sounding distressed. "Megan, what's wrong?" I asked, my heart sinking with a sense of foreboding. "It's Lisa. She's in the hospital. She tried to take her own life," Megan said, her voice breaking. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. I gripped the edge of my desk, trying to process the news. Is she going to be okay?" "She's stable now, but it was close. She's been struggling a lot more than we realized," Megan explained, her voice filled with worry. "I'm so sorry to hear that," I said, feeling a mix of emotions. "Is there anything I can do?" "Could you come to the hospital? I think seeing a familiar face might help her," Megan pleaded. I took a deep breath, my mind racing. "Okay, I'll be there as soon as I can." I quickly informed my boss of the situation and left work, my thoughts a whirlwind of concern and confusion. I hadn't expected to be pulled back into Lisa's life like this, but I couldn't ignore her cry for help. When I arrived at the hospital, Megan greeted me with a tired smile. "Thank you for coming, Alex. She's in room 204. I nodded and made my way to Lisa's room. She lay in the hospital bed, looking fragile and pale. Her eyes widened in surprise when she saw me. "Alex, what are you doing here?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Megan called me. She thought it might help if I came," I replied, pulling up a chair beside her bed. Lisa's eyes filled with tears. "I'm sorry, Alex. I've made such a mess of everything." I sighed, feeling a pang of sympathy. "Lisa, you need to focus on getting better. I'm here to support you, but you have to want to help yourself too." She nodded, wiping her tears. "I know, I'm trying. It's just so hard." We talked for a while, and I could see how broken she was. Despite everything, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pity for her. She had made terrible choices, but she was still human, still capable of feeling pain and regret. As I left the hospital, I called Emily to let her know what had happened. She listened patiently, offering words of comfort and support. "You did the right thing, Alex," she said. "Sometimes people need a second chance to find their way." Over the next few weeks, I kept in touch with Megan to check on Lisa's progress. She was committed to her therapy and making an effort to turn her life around. While I couldn't be deeply involved, I was glad to see her taking steps towards recovery. Emily and I continued to build our life together, finding joy in the little things and planning for the future. We adopted a rescue dog, a lovable mutt named Max, who brought even more happiness into our home. Our days were filled with laughter, love, and a sense of contentment that I hadn't felt in a long time. One evening, as we sat on the couch with Max curled up between us, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Alex, I've been thinking. Maybe we should take a trip, just the two of us, somewhere far away where we can relax and leave all this behind for a while," she suggested. I smiled, the idea appealing to me. "That sounds perfect. Where should we go?" "How about Europe? We could explore Italy, France, and Spain. It would be an adventure," she said, her eyes lighting up with excitement. "Let's do it," I agreed, feeling a surge of anticipation. "Let's start planning." As we began to make arrangements for our trip, I couldn't help but reflect on how far I had come. The journey had been difficult, filled with pain and unexpected challenges, but it had also led me to a place of happiness and hope. Emily was my rock, and with her by my side, I felt ready to face whatever the future held. To anyone reading this, remember that life is unpredictable, and sometimes the darkest moments can lead to the brightest futures. Embrace the journey, learn from your experiences, and never lose sight of the love and happiness that await you. Planning our trip to Europe was exhilarating. It felt like the perfect way to celebrate our new beginning and leave behind the shadows of the past. Emily and I spent hours researching destinations, booking flights and hotels, and dreaming about the adventures that awaited us. We settled on a 3-week itinerary that would take us through Italy, France, and Spain. The day of our departure finally arrived. We boarded the plane with a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. As the plane took off, I held Emily's hand, feeling a sense of liberation. This trip was more than just a vacation. It was a declaration of our commitment to each other and our future. Our first stop was Rome. The city's rich history and vibrant culture captivated us from the moment we arrived. We marveled at the ancient ruins, strolled through picturesque piazzas, and indulged in delicious Italian cuisine. Every day felt like a new adventure, and we cherished every moment. One evening, as we watched the sunset from a rooftop terrace, Emily turned to me with a contented smile. "This trip is exactly what we needed," she said, her eyes reflecting the warm hues of the setting sun. "I'm so grateful we're experiencing this together." "Me too," I replied, pulling her close. "I can't imagine being here with anyone else." As we continued our journey through Italy, we visited Florence and Venice, each city offering its own unique charm. We explored art galleries, took gondola rides, and sipped wine in cozy cafes. It felt like we were living in a dream, far removed from the troubles of the past. Our next destination was France. We started in Paris, the city of love. Emily and I spent our days wandering along the Seine, visiting iconic landmarks like the Eiffel Tower and the Louvre, and enjoying romantic dinners in quaint bistros. One evening, while walking along the Champs-Élysées, Emily stopped and looked at me with a serious expression. "Alex, there's something I've been wanting to talk to you about," she said, her voice steady. My heart skipped a beat. "What is it?" "I know we've been through a lot, and I'm so grateful for how far we've come, but I want us to start thinking about our future more seriously," she said, her eyes searching mine. "I love you, Alex, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Her words took my breath away. "Emily, I love you too, more than anything. I want a future with you too." She smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "Then let's make it official. Will you marry me, Alex?" I stared at her in shock, overwhelmed by emotion. "Are you serious? You're proposing to me?" She nodded, her smile widening. "Yes, I love you, and I don't want to wait any longer. Will you be my husband?" Tears filled my eyes as I nodded. "Yes, Emily, 1,000 times yes." We embraced, the world around us fading away as we kissed. It was a moment of pure joy and love, and I knew that our future was bright. After Paris, we continued our journey through France, visiting charming villages in Provence and enjoying the beautiful landscapes of the French countryside. Our engagement added an extra layer of excitement to our trip, and we started discussing wedding plans and our life together. Our final destination was Spain. We spent our days exploring the vibrant streets of Barcelona, visiting stunning cathedrals, and savoring delicious tapas. The city's energy was infectious, and we found ourselves dancing late into the night, lost in the music and each other's company. One afternoon, while lounging on the beach, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Alex, I've been thinking about everything that's happened over the past year. It's been a whirlwind, but it's also shown me how strong we are together." I nodded, holding her hand. "We've been through a lot, but it's only made us stronger. I'm so grateful for you, Emily." She smiled, leaning in to kiss me. "I'm grateful for you too, and I'm excited for our future, whatever it may hold." As we lay there, basking in the warmth of the sun and our love, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought us here. The betrayal and pain I had experienced with Lisa seemed like a distant memory, overshadowed by the love and happiness I had found with Emily. When we returned home, we began planning our wedding in earnest. We wanted a small, intimate ceremony surrounded by our closest friends and family. As we made arrangements, I couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and accomplishment. I had come a long way from the shattered person I had been after Lisa's betrayal, and now I was ready to start a new chapter with the woman I loved. One evening, as we were finalizing our guest list, I received a surprising message. It was from Lisa. Hesitant, I opened it and read her words. "Alex, I heard about your engagement. Congratulations. I'm genuinely happy for you. I've been doing a lot of reflecting, and I wanted to apologize again for everything I put you through. I'm in a much better place now, and I hope you are too." Her message stirred a mix of emotions. I showed it to Emily, who read it and looked at me with understanding. "How do you feel about it?" she asked. I think I've finally forgiven her," I replied, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. "I'm ready to let go of the past and focus on our future." Emily smiled, her eyes shining with love. "That's all I could ever ask for." Our wedding day was beautiful, filled with love, laughter, and the support of those closest to us. As we exchanged vows, I couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought us here. Every moment of pain and heartache had led me to this perfect moment, and I was ready to embrace the future with Emily by my side. To anyone reading this, remember that life's challenges are just stepping stones on the path to happiness. Embrace your journey, learn from your experiences, and never lose sight of the love and joy that await you. Our wedding day was a dream come true. Surrounded by our closest friends and family, Emily and I pledged our love and commitment to each other. The ceremony was intimate and heartfelt, and as we exchanged vows, I felt a profound sense of peace and fulfillment. The trials and tribulations of the past faded away, replaced by the promise of a bright and happy future. As we embarked on our honeymoon, I couldn't help but reflect on how far I'd come. The betrayal and pain that once consumed me were now distant memories, overshadowed by the love and joy I had found with Emily. Our honeymoon took us to the Greek islands, where we spent our days exploring ancient ruins, lounging on pristine beaches, and savoring delicious Mediterranean cuisine. It was the perfect start to our married life, and I cherished every moment. One evening, as we watched the sunset from a secluded beach, Emily turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Alex, I've been thinking about everything we've been through. It's amazing how much we've grown together." I nodded, taking her hand in mine. "We've come a long way. I wouldn't trade our journey for anything." She smiled, her eyes reflecting the golden hues of the setting sun. "Neither would I. I'm so grateful for you, Alex." "I'm grateful for you too, Emily. You've shown me what true love is, and I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you," I said, leaning in to kiss her. Our honeymoon was a time of reflection and celebration, but it was also a reminder of the life we were building together. When we returned home, we settled into our new roles as husband and wife, creating a life filled with love, laughter, and shared dreams. A few months after our wedding, we decided it was time to start a family. The prospect of becoming parents was both exciting and a little daunting, but we were ready for the challenge. We began preparing our home, turning the spare bedroom into a nursery, and reading up on parenting tips. The anticipation of welcoming a new life into our world brought us even closer together. One morning, Emily surprised me with the news I had been eagerly waiting for. She handed me a small, beautifully wrapped box. Inside was a positive pregnancy test. "Alex, we're going to have a baby," she said, her eyes brimming with tears of joy. I was overwhelmed with emotion, tears filling my own eyes as I hugged her tightly. "This is incredible, Emily. I can't wait to be a dad." The months that followed were filled with excitement and preparation. We attended prenatal classes, decorated the nursery, and eagerly awaited the arrival of our little one. Emily's pregnancy brought a new dimension to our relationship, deepening our bond and strengthening our commitment to each other. One evening, as we sat on the couch with our hands intertwined over Emily's growing belly, she looked at me with a serious expression. "Alex, I want to make sure we're ready for this, not just in practical terms, but emotionally and mentally. I know, it's a big responsibility, but we're in this together. We've faced challenges before and we've come out stronger. We can do this," I reassured her. She smiled, her eyes shining with determination. "You're right, we've got this." As Emily's due date approached, we made sure everything was in place for the baby's arrival. Our friends and family were incredibly supportive, offering advice and assistance as we navigated this new chapter of our lives. Finally, the day arrived. Emily went into labor early one morning and we rushed to the hospital, hearts pounding with a mix of excitement and nerves. After hours of labor, our baby girl, Sophie, was born. Holding her in my arms for the first time, I felt a surge of love and protectiveness unlike anything I had ever experienced. Emily and I marveled at our beautiful daughter, overwhelmed with gratitude and joy. "She's perfect," Emily whispered, tears streaming down her face. "She is," I agreed, my own tears falling freely. "I can't believe she's ours." Bringing Sophie home was both thrilling and a little daunting. The first few weeks were a blur of sleepless nights, diaper changes, and feedings, but they were also filled with precious moments that we would cherish forever. Emily and I supported each other through the challenges, finding strength in our partnership and love. One evening, as we sat in the nursery watching Sophie sleep, Emily turned to me with a contented smile. "This is everything I ever dreamed of, Alex. Our little family, our life together. It's perfect." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. It is perfect, and it's just the beginning. As we settled into our new roles as parents, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought us here. The pain and betrayal of the past had given way to a life filled with love, joy, and new beginnings. I had found my true partner in Emily, and together we had created a beautiful family. To anyone reading this who's struggling with betrayal or heartache, remember that there is hope. Life has a way of surprising us, of offering new opportunities for happiness and growth. Embrace your journey, learn from your experiences, and never lose sight of the love and joy that await you. Happiness is within reach, and it's worth every step of the way. As we watched Sophie sleep, I knew that the future was bright. With Emily by my side and our daughter in our arms, I was ready to face whatever challenges came our way. Life was an adventure, and I was grateful for every moment. As the months passed, our family life blossomed. Sophie grew from a tiny, fragile newborn into a lively, curious infant, filling our days with laughter and joy. Emily and I cherished every milestone, her first smile, her first laugh, her first steps. Parenthood brought a new sense of purpose and fulfillment to our lives, and we embraced every moment. One sunny afternoon, we decided to take Sophie to the park. Emily packed a picnic, and we spent the day enjoying the fresh air and each other's company. Watching Sophie play on the grass, her giggles echoing through the park, I felt a deep sense of contentment. This was the life I had always dreamed of, and it was even more beautiful than I had imagined. As Sophie napped under a tree, Emily and I sat together, reflecting on our journey. "Can you believe how far we've come?" Emily asked, her voice filled with wonder. I smiled, squeezing her hand. "It's incredible. We've been through so much, and yet here we are, happier than ever. I wouldn't change a thing, she said softly, leaning her head on my shoulder. Everything we've been through has brought us to this moment, and I'm so grateful for it. Me too, I agreed, feeling a rush of love for her. I'm grateful for you, for Sophie, for our life together. It's more than I ever hoped for. As the years went by, our bond only grew stronger. We continued to face challenges, but we tackled them together, always finding strength in our love and partnership. Sophie thrived, bringing joy and wonder into our lives every day. We watched her grow, amazed by her curiosity, intelligence, and kindness. One evening, as we celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary, Emily surprised me with a special gift. She handed me a beautifully wrapped box, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "Happy anniversary, Alex," she said, her smile radiant. I opened the box to find a scrapbook filled with memories from our journey together, photos, ticket stubs, handwritten notes, and mementos from our travels. Each page told the story of our love, from our first meeting to our wedding day to the birth of Sophie. "This is incredible, Emily," I said, my voice filled with emotion. "Thank you." "There's one more thing," she said, handing me a small envelope. Inside was a sonogram picture. "We're having another baby," she whispered, her eyes brimming with tears. I was overwhelmed with joy, tears streaming down my face as I hugged her tightly. "This is the best gift ever. I can't believe it." As we celebrated the news of our growing family, I couldn't help but reflect on how far we had come. The journey from betrayal and heartache to love and happiness had been challenging, but it had also been incredibly rewarding. We had built a life filled with love, joy, and hope, and I was grateful for every moment. The months that followed were a whirlwind of preparations and anticipation. Sophie was thrilled at the prospect of becoming a big sister, and we worked together to get everything ready for the new arrival. Emily and I found ourselves growing even closer, united by our love and excitement for our expanding family. Finally, the day arrived. Emily gave birth to a healthy baby boy, and we named him Liam. Holding him in my arms, I felt the same overwhelming love and protectiveness that I had felt when Sophie was born. Our family was complete, and I couldn't have been happier. As I looked around our home, filled with love and laughter, I realized how far I had come. The pain of Lisa's betrayal was a distant memory, replaced by the profound joy of the life I had built with Emily. We had faced challenges and overcome them, and in doing so, we had created something beautiful and enduring. To anyone reading this who is struggling with betrayal or heartache, remember that there is always hope. Life's challenges can lead to unexpected opportunities for growth and happiness. Embrace your journey, learn from your experiences, and never lose sight of the love and joy that await you. Happiness is within reach, and it is worth every step of the way. In the end, it's not about the obstacles we face, but how we overcome them. It's about the people we choose to share our lives with, and the love and happiness we create together. My journey taught me the importance of resilience, forgiveness, and the incredible power of love. And for that, I am eternally grateful. As I held Liam in my arms, surrounded by my beautiful family, I knew that the future was bright. With Emily by my side and our children in our hearts, I was ready to face whatever challenges came our way. Life was an adventure, and I was grateful for every moment.
Subscribe to the channel and share your impressions in the comments.